Everyone in. Morning. Welcome if you're just joining us. I've just got a few more people coming in from the waiting room, so I'll give them a second before I kick things off. But it's good to have you with us today.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Hi, Suzanne. Good to see you. Hi, Kieran.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Jules, good to see you.
You too.
Amazing. Great. A
Good
couple of
morning.
people. Morning. I didn't see who that was, but you were very welcome. Um, Great, fab. I've got people coming in fast from the weight room still, but I will kick things off to get us started today. So, welcome from HPMA. My name's Izzy, and as usual, I'll be here throughout the session to support with any technical needs you may have. So, if you do have any questions or queries, please drop me a note in the chat box and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. As you can see, the session is being recorded today, but we only share it with those of you who've actually attended the session, and you will be on mute when you enter the room. That's just to keep the audio clear, but feel free to come off mute, share your thoughts and ideas. These are interactive sessions, so we do want to hear from you, and you will get the most out of the session if you do contribute today. So amazing. That is pretty much everything from me. I can see a few cameras on, which is amazing. If you can pop your cameras on, it does make a big difference. And I know it'll probably help Craig out a lot to see people's faces in the room. But yeah, Craig, over to you.
Brilliant. Yeah, good morning, everybody. Welcome to my session this morning about beginner's guide to using AI tools. So obviously AI is what everybody's talking about, right? It's been on for the last couple of years. It's just getting bigger and bigger, and it's the hype, and it's something that you can't literally go any day without hearing something about, right? Whether it's good or bad. But yeah, I'm going to take you through to the next couple of hours. I'm going to give you a little bit of kind of like what AI is, but then also sort of practical tools and how we can use these tools to the best of our ability in the roles that you do day to day. So just a few little bit housekeeping things. So if you have questions, then feel free to kind of put your hand up on Zoom, or you can put them in the chat, and then I can answer them as we go along. And then I'll also keep some time at the end for questions as well. Okay. All right. So let's get started. So today's session, as I said, is a couple of hours. We're going to have a break in the middle for a quick sort of like a comfort break for about 5 minutes. But this is kind of what we're going to be doing. So we're going to do a quick introduction of like basically what is AI, the AI that we're talking about at the moment, that, you know, since probably for the last kind of 2, 3, 4 years, that's growing and it's taking over, you know, quite a lot of what we're doing in the workplace. We're going to talk about that quickly. The We're going to talk about how to work with AI. So we're going to be hands-on with the tools. I think on the in description of the event, it kind of said if you've got access to like a free ChatGPT account or a Copilot account, something like that would be useful here. But if you don't, that's okay, because you can just follow along and then you can see what I'm doing. All right. Then we're going to look importantly about how to use AI responsibly. So these are powerful tools and we need to make sure that we're using them in a responsible way. And then finally, we're going to run through sort of like an individual task, but then a bit of kind of group discussion as well about the tasks that you could and like be using on a day-to-day basis with AI in your role. Okay. Right. So just quickly then in the chat, now just type a number. Where are you on your AI journey? Are you a newbie? So number one, type a one if you're a newbie, type a two if you're a dabbler, you've tried it a few bits, type three if you're hungry, type four if you're integrating into your workflows, and then type five if you're an expert and you're training others in AI. So what do we have? We have quite a lot of people. We got a zero. We've got a zero on there. Somebody who's maybe never even seen it before. We got dabblers. So pretty much most ones, twos, a few threes. And we got a nine. Hate it. Oh dear. Okay. Well, hopefully by the end of this session you might like it a bit more. I'm here to help. That's what I'm here for. Okay, thanks very much for sharing. That's great. Good to know. Good to know. So think about where you are on this graph. So when obviously new technology comes out, and specifically this technology, when we first start using it, we get all excited, right? So, and we definitely, when we first start using it, we think, "Oh my God, this is amazing!" And we kind of we appear here, we're excited, overconfidence. But then as we start to learn more about it, and then maybe things don't do exactly what we thought it could do, we might sort of start going downhill. So um, this might be, is the sound okay?
It's okay, Craig. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, so this might be where I think Leona P, you said you hate it. You might be here. Um, Maybe you've used it a bit and then you've realized that it's not everything that you thought it might be, um, but you're having some problems with it. Okay. But hopefully, with a little bit more kind of education and what it can and can't do, then I can try and push people up here so you get more knowledge of how to use the tools and hopefully get it was not 0, not 9. Okay, that's fine. But okay, so I can hopefully push you along that graph and then get you with more knowledge and more education so you can start using it with confidence. Okay, right. So who am I? So I'm Craig. I've been working in the tech industry for 20 years or so. Lots of different experience. Used to be a school teacher as well, but ultimately what I'm doing more recently is helping people get enabled with AI. Right. So using workshop facilitation or training sessions, using AI tools, using it in their roles, practical hands-on stuff, not theory stuff, practical hands-on. I also put videos out online every day on TikTok and YouTube and things like that. So feel free to go and have a look for me and follow me and all that kind of thing. I'm on LinkedIn as well, so I've got details at the end of the session, so you can connect with me there. But yeah, I'll be happy to chat anytime. Right. So what is AI? We're going to go through a quick sort of plain English introduction. No technical knowledge needed. This entire session is non-techie. I am a very non-technical person, very hands-on, kind of plain English. So this is probably the most technical slide you're going to see today. All right. So AI is made up of layers. Now we've had AI in our world for a long time. Even longer than the last sort of few years, and you've seen it in some of the things you do. So the kind of the first sort of layer of that is machine learning. So that's like pattern spotting. So when you're using Netflix or Spotify and it's recommending things to you, that's an AI there. That's machine learning. That's what that's doing. Then you go and that level deeper and you've got deep learning. So that uses what's called neural networks, a bit like a brain, to understand complex data. So things when you're saying like, I don't want to say it too loud just in case I turn everyone's Alexas on, or Siris and all that kind of thing. But when you use those kind of products, you're using AI. Then we get to generative AI, which is the stuff that we've been talking about for the last sort of few years. So we've got ChatGPT, Microsoft Copilot, and then the Claude and Gemini. So these are the things that we're using quite a lot nowadays. So this is where it's used learned data and it's trained on data, and uses patterns to then create new content. So it creates text, it creates images, it can create videos. Some of the stuff it creates nowadays is amazing. And then the kind of the engine that kind of drives that are these things called large language models. Okay, and these models are always getting updated all the time. So the engine behind ChatGPT, they call it GPT, and then they give it a number like 5. And then like Claude has got that, it gives it, they've got Opus and things like that. But then Copilot, if you're a Microsoft organization and you're using Copilot, that will actually use the engine of ChatGPT and the engine of Claude. So when you're using Copilot, you're actually using the large language model of ChatGPT. Okay. Right. As I said, that was probably the most technical thing we're going to look at today. So, what is it? Now, when I talk about AI today, if I say the words AI or its acronym AI, I'm talking about ChatGPT. I'm talking about Copilot, right? Because AI can span a lot of things, like I just said. But when I'm saying the word AI today, this is what I'm talking about: ChatGPT, using it in your work. So think of it like a brilliant, well-read colleague who never tires, never judges, and works at extraordinary speed. it's trained on vast amounts of data, so texts and books and articles and websites, and it's a conversational tool. You just talk to it. You can talk to it using your keyboard and your text, or you can talk to it using your voice as well. There's a voice mode, and you can talk to it that way. You can draft things. You can take loads and loads of text, and you can summarize it into just the key bullet points that you might need. You can use it to brainstorm and structure, and it does it in seconds. It's incredible. And it always works best as an assistant to your thinking. It's not going to replace your thinking. Important that it's an assistant, because you're the human here and you're always accountable. And I'm going to say this a number of times this morning, because it is very important that you're the human and that you are accountable for anything that you share publicly or with the rest of your company. So tools you might have access to already. And you don't need to use all of these, because one is enough just to get started, as I say on there. So ChatGPT, you can use all these tools in a free sense. You get a certain kind of allowance to use these tools if you have a free account. So ChatGPT is the main one that everyone's heard of over the last few years. That's your kind of general purpose assistant. I got started with ChatGPT, and then I moved, but using Microsoft Copilot for work, and then also Claude for other things. But I still use ChatGPT it's my general kind of workhorse AI tool. And they're always improving, all of them. So one week ChatGPT might be really good, and then the next week Claude might be better, but then the next week ChatGPT might be better. So they're always updating these things. Microsoft Copilot is the chatbot that you get within Microsoft 365. Now, there's a free version of that you get bundled with your account, or you can also get the premium version, which you get a lot more stuff into it, and it integrates with your Microsoft accounts. And then you have Google Gemini. So you might spot, if you're using Google to search for things, it uses AI sometimes to give you results. That's using Google Gemini. Again, you can use that as a free account. And if your organization is using Google Workspace, then you can use Google Gemini there. And then Claude is this. It's not new. But it's getting more and more popular because there are lots of cool stuff that you can do with it. It can take control of your computer, which is slightly scary. But it is, yeah. You can use it as a chat bot. You can use it to create documents. You can build your own applications with it. It is and websites and things like that. It's becoming quite incredible. So just checking the chat here. Oh, there's an NHS bespoke version of Copilot that NHS staff can use. Okay, interesting. Thank you for sharing that. Right, so this is the stuff that AI does well. So as I said, I'm talking about ChatGPT and Copilot. Drafting, so you can create job adverts, and you can do this in seconds. Obviously, that will give you like a first draft, and then you can edit it however you like. You can draft emails, policies, training materials. You can take documents, long reports, long email threads, survey responses, and summarize them into kind of bullet points. So say you wanted to share a whole thing with somebody, but they maybe they don't have time to read the whole thing. So you can summarize stuff. You can use it for brainstorming. So you can get ideas for training programs or team activities. You can structure stuff. So a really, really good way of using it is to kind of take messy notes. So maybe you've got a meeting and you've taken some notes down, obviously digitally on a document, and then you can get the tool to kind of structure it in a nice way. So then you can share that with the people who are in that meeting, and you can get to rephrase things as well. So maybe you've got a document that's very formal and you want to make it more casual. You can then rephrase the text, change it. You can get it to change the font of things. You can change it however you like. You can make it shorter. You can make it longer. And then as a thinking partner, and I actually use these tools, especially ChatGPT, a lot as a thinking partner. So if I've got an idea, if I've got a job coming up that I need to talk maybe to somebody about, I can talk to AI about it, and I can kind of get it to ask me questions about what I'm doing and then challenge me on it. So it's basically thinking about things in a different way, so you can have the AI as a thinking partner. Okay. So what doesn't it do well? It's got limitations, right? So and understanding these kind of, helps you use it more responsibly and safely. So it can hallucinate. Now, if you've never heard this word in the AI terms before, what it basically means is it can make stuff up. Now, it's not doing it like out of because it wants to. It's doing it because it doesn't know the answer. So it's like I said, it's trained on data. It is getting a lot better though, but if it doesn't know the answer or there's a gap in its knowledge, it will kind of make stuff up, and it sounds really confident as well. So you can get an answer back, and say for example, you said, "Oh, give me a few websites to do with a topic." Now, sometimes it can give you results, and then they don't actually exist, or maybe one of them doesn't actually exist. Right? So it actually can make stuff up. This is why you should always sort of check the sources. So verify the facts, the statistics and things like that, because it can go and do research for you, but you should always check the results that you get. And its knowledge, can have a cutoff date. As I said, it's getting a lot better because it is searching the internet, but it's been trained on data. So it may not know about recent changes in law or legislation, or organizational changes if you're using it within your organization. So definitely don't rely on it for current legal guidance. As I said, you always want to check what it's giving you. And it can reflect bias. So it learns from existing data, and it's trained on data that unfortunately some of it is bias. Okay, so you always, like I said, you always want to check this stuff. One of the things that I've seen a lot, so especially these tools can create images, right? So you can try this out whenever after the session if you want. But if you get, say, ChatGPT or something to create an image, and you say, create an image of a doctor or create an image of a business owner. Now, most of the time, unfortunately, it will create an image of a middle-aged white man, because that's basically what it's been trained on data that's biased. So just watch out for that kind of thing. It has no professional judgment. Okay, so it cannot weigh complex ethical, legal, or interpersonal factors the way that an experienced HR professional can. So you are the professional, right? So make sure that you can check everything. You're the human. You're accountable for it. Okay? Right. So, like I said, thinking partner, it's not a decision maker. So it's not here to replace your professional judgment. It's here to help you think, draft faster, and do more with your time. So it can help with first drafts and outlines. So you can create emails, you can create documents, it can help you to generate ideas, summarize that lengthy material, can restructure your thinking, and then it can also check your work as well. So one example is like if you use Copilot if you use Outlook for your emails, Copilot is inside your Outlook. When you write an email, you can get it to check the email that you've written, and it can give you feedback on how you've written that. You're the human. You always handle the professional and ethical judgment. Confidential or sensitive information, very important that you never put confidential or sensitive information into these tools, especially if it's a public tool. Now, Copilot is protect if you've got Microsoft 365 account with Copilot, you do get protected by what's called the enterprise data protection. But I will always say, just never put in confidential or sensitive information, because these tools are trained on the data. There are certain settings that you can change to make sure that they're not, but I'm not going to go into that today. But yeah, you have to be very careful about putting information in. Never make final decisions about people. With the AI, you're the human, as I said, you're accountable, and you always handle the organizational context and nuance. Okay. So, how to work with AI. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get a little bit kind of hands-on with using the tool, and then use a kind of a simple framework for using it. Okay, so how to get started. So if you've never used it before, then use ChatGPT or Copilot or Gemini or Claude. You'll be greeted with this. it's basically like a text box, and it's a conversational sort of window. So you can type stuff into there. So you can see here, you have these little sort of microphones, or this little button on the side here. That's basically like a voice mode. So instead of typing, you can just press that and then start talking to it like another person, and then it will talk back to you. And what's quite cool about that is if you use that, it will actually transcribe your conversation as well. So you talk to it and it transcribes what you said, and then whatever it says back to you, it will transcribe that. And it will save it into the tool for you as well. So you've got everything saved there. Okay, so what we're going to do now, so if you have, hopefully, if you have one of these tools open, we're gonna use this right now, and we're gonna try a prompt out. So we're just going to type something into that text box. Okay, so as I said, open up ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot or similar, and we're going to try this out. So write a job advert for an HR business partner role. Okay, so if you type that in, if I could also type this into the chat for you, and then you could just copy it if you want. Write a job advert for an HR business partner role. So what I'm going to do, you can follow along with me because I'm just going to do exactly the same thing. So if I jump into, I'm going to use Copilot for this one. So here we are with Copilot. I'm going to paste in that. And then hopefully it's going to give us something quickly. So here's a clear professional job advert you can use or adapt. I've kept it practical, plain English, and easy to scan. Okay, so HR business partner, it's giving us the role, what you'll be doing, what we're looking for, desirable, what you'll get, why join us, how to apply, that kind of thing. Okay, so it's all right, but I mean, what do we think about it? Those who have been able to do it, type something in the chat. Is it okay, or is it what do we think about the result that it's given us? It's a bit bland. Yeah, it's a bit bland. Yeah, I definitely agree there. Not person specific. Good start. Quite vague. Yeah. Gives you a basic structure to finesse. Yeah, it does give you a basic structure to finesse, a building block. Yeah, it's a starting point. Okay, so you wouldn't just basically use that and then send that out. Okay, mine's got a little bit more detail than yours. I'm using Copilot. So if you're using Copilot, what that might have done, it might have actually gone through the data that's in your company, your organization, and then actually put that into the description as well. Okay. You love the options to tailor. Okay, right. So yeah, it says you can tailor it for a specific thing. Right. So now what we're going to do. So as I said, it's quite a generic output there. Now the best thing when we're using these tools is you might have heard the term. Oh, yours is still thinking. Yeah, it does. Sometimes it can take a while, and obviously, if you are using Copilot, it might be scanning through information in your organization. So when we're using these tools, you might have heard of a term called prompt engineering. Okay, now this is not technical at all. It's just because AI was made by developers, very smart people who use computers and all that kind of thing, right? So, but prompt engineering is basically just how to write a good prompt. So how to write something, then AI understands in the best way. So what we're going to do is I introduce you to what's called the RAISE framework. And it's an acronym. So it's an easy way to remember how to structure your prompts. Okay, so you got RAISE. So role, aim, instructions, specifics, and then end result. Okay, so I'm just going to run through what each of them mean, and then how to kind of use them, and then we're going to structure a much better prompt that will then enable us to get a better, let me just get that up, to enable us to get a better output. Okay, so first of all, role. You're going to say who is the AI? Like who should the AI be? This helps the AI to kind of shape and the tone and the depth and the approach of the response. So, for example, if you're project manager and you want it to do project management things, you're telling the AI that they are an experienced project manager, because then they're going to think like a project manager. Act as a leading marketing specialist, or you're a professional customer account manager, that kind of thing, or you're an HR business professional, that kind of thing. So you want to tell the AI who they should be. Okay. The aim is, what do you want done? So, and you always want to be clear and specific about what you actually want the AI to do for you, because you want them to complete a task. Now, you don't want it to be quite short and generic. You want to be very specific about it. So although you'll get a result, that one on the left, so write a reply to this email, is okay, but it's not great. Now, you want to be more specific about that. Write a follow-up email thanking the client for the meeting and suggest next steps. Okay. Give me some ideas is, again, quite generic, or it's not going to give you what you want. More specific, generate 10 creative ideas I can use for our next marketing campaign. If you get more specific about what you want, you're going to get a better result. Information, and this is probably the most important part of it. What background information is needed? So this is giving the AI context about everything. So who is it for? Like, maybe is there an audience? Why you want it? Examples of what good looks like. So if you're using AI to produce a report or a document and you like them to be written in a specific way, then give it an example of something that you've done before and it'll reproduce something similar. So give it an example of what good looks like, any relevant details, and any constraints. So what don't you want it to do? Because that's important as well, because you can do stuff for you, but if you don't want it to do certain things, then tell it to not do stuff as well. And then specifics. Are there any extra details? So anything that it should focus on. Any constraints, you can put constraints in the specifics as well. What should it prioritize? So what's the most important thing that it should be doing there? Are there any rules that it should be following? Or are there any steps that it should take to do something? So maybe there's a flow that it should do to create what you want. If you want a document in a specific order, or you want, if you want something in a specific way, then tell it the steps that it should take. And then the final part is, what should it look like? So the end result. So how should it read? Should it be a bullet point list? Should it be written in a casual tone, in a professional tone? Do you want it to be kept under 300 words or longer? You can obviously choose how many words it can be. Include examples, no more than 3 sentences in a paragraph. And obviously these are kind of text-based prompts that we're going to be using here. So if we then take the example that we were using there about creating a job advert, I'm going to give you different sections of the Raise framework to build I would say quite an extensive prompt. You probably don't have to make something as large as this, but I'm going to give you an idea of how you could build your prompts to get a better result. So role, you're an experienced recruitment specialist with knowledge of inclusive hiring. So just that sentence there is actually probably longer than the original prompt that I said in the first place. Okay, so that's the role that we're giving the AI. Then the aim is to create a clear, attractive, and inclusive job advert for an HR business partner role that will appeal to strong candidates and accurately represent the role. Okay, so again, we're being very, very specific about what we want the AI to do. Okay, now this is where it gets even bigger. And I'm not going to read through the entire thing here, but this is the information. You're giving it really specific information about the role, about where the location is, who it reports to, the main purpose of the role, and nice to have, because you need specific details. And then finally, this isn't the final part, so specifics. like I said, about making the advert inclusive. Maybe you want nice to haves and things. Keep the tone warm, professional, and practical. And then the final part is the end result. So you want to, this is where you might want multiple things. So you want a complete job advert. You want a short LinkedIn version, a list of changes maybe, and then maybe 5 interview questions linked to the essential criteria. So you're giving it the prompt with all that information there, and then the output that you're going to get is not just the job advert. You're going to get even more than that. You're going to get LinkedIn version. You're going to get some interview questions that are based on the job advert. Okay. So what I'll do now, I do have a Google document that I'm going to share with you, so you could try out this. You can try out this prompt. I'm going to copy the link and I'll put it into the chat. So hopefully you should be able to. Yep, I can see people accessing the document. Now, I'll quickly just share my screen so you can see what I'm doing. But on the second page of that document, you will see the, yeah, so here's the first page, and then you can see the Raise prompting framework there. And then on the second page, you'll see that that prompt. Now, you should be able to just select the text, and then you can copy that, and then you can paste that into your chatbot. Okay, so I'm just going to do the same thing. So I'm going to copy that text. Let me just do copy. And then I'm going to go into here. Now, the best thing to do is to start a new chat. Okay, because we want to start fresh on here. So let's go up to the top left. If you're using Copilot, you go to new chat. If you're using ChatGPT, then you go to new chat. But ultimately, we're doing the same thing. We're just going to new chat, and then we're going to paste in our new big prompt. Oh, you say, oh, you don't have permission to visit this site. I'm not able to copy and paste. I would try and paste it. No, I can't paste the whole thing into the Zoom chat because it's too long, unfortunately.
I paste parts of it in stages, Craig. Would that work?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Or I tell you what I'll do. Let me download the documents and then email it to everybody really quickly.
Okay, sure. Okay. Okay, so mine's finished. It did it pretty quickly. Drop into the chat as a file. Could try that. Okay. Yeah, so there we have. Hopefully yours, if you've been able to copy and paste the text into there, your advert might be a lot better than the one that you had before. Steph's asking, if we're all copy and pasting the same info, will Copilot give exactly the same answer to us all? Well, it won't be exactly the same. Now, because we've been very specific about what we want, they might be very similar because we've said things like location hybrid, 2 days per week in the office and things like that. But if you are using Copilot, and you are obviously it's trained on the data that's within your organization, then it probably won't be the same as other people using Copilot because it may be specific about your company. So hopefully that will be okay. Now let's see what else it's done. It's given me a short LinkedIn version, copy ready. So that looks pretty good to me. It's given me the changes that it's made to improve clarity. And then we've got 5 interview questions linked to the essential criteria. Okay. So, yeah, feel free to say something out loud or write something in the chat. What is it? What's your result like? Is it any good? Is it a lot better than the last one? Much better this time. More detail to work with. Definitely a lot better result. Much better. Much better. Excellent. Looks more like what HR sends out. Relationship building. Mine omitted the and influencing. Okay. A lot more specific, much better, but needs personalizing. Yeah. Well, as I said, this will be your first draft. So you can, it gets you a part of the way. Really like section 3. Okay, cool. So yeah, it gets you a part of the way. It's a first draft that you can create, and then you can. So if I'm on back on here, now what I can do is I could then obviously just take that text, I can copy that, and then I can put that into a document. Now, that's obviously a really sort of basic way of doing it. You can copy and paste the text into a document and then you can edit it. Now, if you're using Copilot and then you can actually use this within Word with Microsoft Word. And then you could actually sort of edit the text directly in there with your Copilot as well. But we're not going to go into that today, but that is something that you can do. Question: does AI systems remember information from previous chats when you start a new chat? So yes, it does remember you. So especially like if you're using definitely with ChatGPT and Copilot, when you're basically using it and you're talking to it, it will remember the chats that you've had. Now it only has a memory of a certain length, right? So the longer you use it, say if I had a conversation with it 6 months ago, it might not remember that because its memory kind of it's only got a certain amount of memory. Yeah. Okay. Any more questions? And then we will move on. Right. So let me go back to my slide deck. So once you've got your output, then you can review and refine it. So check, is it accurate? You can make it shorter, you can make it longer, you can change the tone, make it more casual, make it more informal. Maybe you want to change the audience. Maybe you want to add a section to it. Is there anything missing? So I think somebody said there's something missing there. So you can then say that to the AI. You can say, oh, you missed this part out, and it'll sometimes go like, oh yeah, good catch, well done. I missed that out. And just always double check that there's not any sensitive data in there before you share that with anyone. Yeah, so always kind of check through, review it, and then refine it. Iterate on it and make your next version even better. You said I like you used the word fluff to suggest we could tailor it. Okay, yeah, right. So some people might just be thinking, well, I could have just written the job advert by now. Yeah, true. Maybe the first time you've probably there was quite a lot of text within that prompt, and you could have written that job advert by now. But the thing is, you can take that prompt and you can change some of it. So I've just highlighted some little bits in there in red. Now, maybe obviously you're hiring for the same company, you're hiring for the same location, for the same team or whatever, but maybe it's slightly different. So you could go in there and you could just slightly change a few bits. So you can change the job title, you could change the location, you could change the purpose, and then run that prompt, and then you'll get another one. So we saved a lot of time. We maybe, for the first time we wrote that prompt, maybe it took a bit of time, but then the second time, and we just changed a couple of little bits, we've saved a lot of time. And then that compounds because every time you're doing this and you get, you've got more and more prompts that you can reuse, then you're going to save a lot more time down the road because they become business assets and you can have a prompt library. So every time you create a prompt that you like, then you can save that. And there's multiple ways that you can save that. You can just save it to a document, like a Word document, and have multiple prompts in a Word document. Maybe you have a database that you could save it to. You could save them in an Excel spreadsheet if you wanted to. Copilot itself has a prompt library that you can use, and so you can save things to that. So there's lots of different ways that you can basically save your own prompts to a prompt library, and then Yeah, I was just checking that I was sharing my screen there. So yes, basically, yeah, you can save things to a prompt library and then you can revisit them and then you can share them with other people. So if you could create prompts for your team and then your team could then use those prompts to then save time themselves. Okay. So now you're going to write one yourself. What you want to do, and I'm going to put a timer on for about 8 minutes or so. Now you open up ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot or anything that you have, and using the Raise framework. So if you access that Google Doc, that you can see that image there that has the Raise framework. I can also put I can put it on the screen so you can remember what it was. But I want you to draft a something. So use the Raise framework to write a prompt for a task relevant for your role. So I've got some examples there, maybe to draft a job advert for a role you're currently or typically recruiting for. Maybe you could summarize key themes from a recent meeting. You just make something up. Or maybe you need to draft an email to managers introducing a new HR policy or process. Okay, so just, yeah, think of a task that you might do that you want to create and then use the Raise framework to build that prompt and then run it and then see what the kind of the output is, what worked and what surprised you. Once you've done that, write something into the chat of what you noticed and share with everybody if that's okay. So what I'll do is I'll put an 8-minute timer on. Let's get the timer up. There we go. And here is the Raise framework. Okay, got a minute or so left. I'm just going through some of the comments. It's great. What people have written. Wendy used Claude, asked for a response to an employee complaint about bullying. Um, Claude basically asked me for additional information, which aligns closely with the raise. Very impressive. Sarah has asked for a comms plan for a new system, and it's done it all. Awesome. Um, Sugargirl, my prompt feedback has helped me as a thinking partner. Generating ideas. Good stuff. Audrey, hello. Ask Copilot to design a learning program that I will be facilitating. Excellent. It's very helpful when we can do stuff like that. Fabulous. I asked to create a new Absel fundraising event for children's services at the hospital which I work for, and it's brilliant. Excellent. Even offering to go on to create a marketing and advertising plan. So you'll always find when you run these prompts that it will give you like a little extra bit at the end to say, what do you want me to do next? Because because these tools are they want you to keep using them. They want you to keep using them, and then eventually, obviously, these companies want your money because they're so at some point you might hit a limit, but they want you to keep using them and improving them and that kind of thing. So yeah. Kieran asked Copilot design an interactive 30-minute introductory webinar to lean methodology. Yeah, I know it well, and it surprised me with how detailed practical the output was, down to making suggestions for facilitator prompts. Excellent. Definitely saved time as a roadmap to a workable lesson plan. It would have benefited. Oh, let me just stop that. It would have benefited from more tailored specialist knowledge input. Now, there's something worth saying actually. So, obviously, we've just given it a text kind of prompt. Now, to give it more context, to give it more information about things, what we can do with these tools is we can actually upload documents to them. So for ChatGPT and especially Copilot, because it's connected to your work kind of documents and so forth, you can upload things to it. So you can upload PDFs. So give it more knowledge. Again, giving it more context and information, you're going to get even better outputs. What else have we got? Love the follow-up options for converting slides. Yep. Amazing. Just produced an updated introductory slide for a monthly newsletter. Organized a month trip to Oz and done checklist and itinerary. Yes, I've used it to do to organize my holidays. Oh my God, I can retire. Okay. Yeah, it's definitely very helpful and can obviously save you a lot of time. I'm not sure if we can get it to do everything yet. Introducing a new process for feedback. Copilot expanded on defines example data and insights. Did away with abbreviations. Yeah, good stuff. Cool. Got some really good comments. And suddenly it was Star Wars. Is what he said. Asked for a job description too. Very well written. Okay, good stuff. Thanks very much for sharing that, everybody. So that was your obviously if you've written prompts before, but hopefully that's the first one that you've written with the Raise framework. And hopefully the output that you got was a lot better than maybe something that you've got before. It's taking its time. I think it's because it's more detailed than usual. Especially if you're using Copilot, Copilot can take a bit more time because it may be scanning through your work documents as well. So Copilot can take a bit more time than some of the other tools. Right, so here's some other examples. And again, on that Google document that is shared, and if you don't have access to it now, then I'm sure we can work out to get you access afterwards. Here are some other kind of examples of ones that you could use. So this one is employee engagement survey theme. So you can upload maybe like the survey or the survey comments to the tool, obviously anonymized, and then it can give you an output of like a one-page briefing with key themes and evidence from comments and stuff like that. So I can imagine if you have a lot of surveys to go through, it will take quite a lot of time to summarize everything and identify key themes. Whereas if you use an AI tool to do it, it's gonna save a lot of time. Another example is creating a manager briefing, so much like communication. So you're telling it to be an internal communications partner. Now, maybe you've got a new policy or a policy change. you can create a manager briefing that helps the managers understand the update. Okay. Tracy, you've found that we can only upload one photo document per week on the free version. Yes, there will be limitations on what you can do with the free version because they want you to upgrade, right? They want you to pay them more money so you can upgrade to the next one. It's not that expensive. I think for the first basic level, I think it's like £20 a month for pretty much for all of them. But yeah. So so that's an example. You can create a manager briefing. It's good for communication, for sending for emails and so forth. Pay $18.99 for ChatGPT. Yeah. It's good for role play as well. So you don't have to get it to just sort of, create you some text. You can have a conversation with it. And so you can do this with the voice mode, but you can also do it with just the text as well. So, maybe you have you need to practice a sensitive conversation. So then you can have a role play with the AI to and it will go through a scenario with you. So they will go through a scenario with you, and you can see from this prompt, don't coach me during the role play, respond naturally, and then when you say end role play, then it's going to give you feedback on how you've done. So that's a good example of something that you could do. Maybe it's something you could do with your team or so forth. But it's another good example. And this prompt, this is all in that document. You can customize it however you like. You don't need to have the R, the A, the I, the S, and the E, but I've just kind of broken it down like that. So whenever you write these prompts, you don't actually need to put those subheadings. But for this, for the purpose of this presentation, I'm showing you how I've broken it down. So just quickly then, some further prompting tips. I do this quite a lot. At the end of the prompt, I say, if it's something maybe very complex, I'll say, ask me 5 clarifying questions one by one. Because what that does is there might be something that you've forgotten to tell it. So then it'll ask you some questions. And I always say one by one because sometimes it might ask me 5 questions at a time, and then I have to kind of go, well, the answer to question 1 is blah, blah, blah. Answer to question 2 is blah, blah, blah. So if I say one by one, then it's going to ask me one question. I'll give it an answer. The next question, I'll give it an answer. Yeah. So that's a good way of doing it. So that means it's getting more context. Give examples of what good looks like. So I said that earlier in part of the RAISE framework. So like I said, give a document that you've done before, and it'll try and produce something similar. And then you can also ask the AI to check its work. So as part of that prompt, has it made any assumptions? Make sure that, like, if it is producing research, say, tell me where you got this research from, show me what the sources are, so then you can check them. So you can actually say to the AI before you give me a result, check your own work. Leona said, my favorite is running applicants writing to detect AI answers. We caught someone who didn't know what job they were applying for. Okay. Yeah, it's definitely good to check those kinds of things. So now we're going to have a quick 5-minute break. Okay, so we're going to come back at 1:30. So just a little bit over 5 minutes. So we'll come back at 1:30 and then we'll continue.
Hey, thanks.
Sounds a bit like that.
Thanks for this, everyone making their way back. If you can pop your cameras back on or just give us a thumbs up, that would be great. Amazing. Thank you. Perfect. Okay, back into.
Excellent. All right. Cool. So welcome back, everybody. I hope you've had a chance to stretch your legs a bit, get a coffee, a little comfort break. Obviously, I know it's a bit warm at the moment, so maybe get a bit of fresh air. Right. So what we'll do is we'll carry on. Now, the rest of the session is we're not so much going to be using the tools as much, but it's a little bit kind of like some discovery. And there's going to be a couple of little sort of breakout sessions where we can do some discussion as well. So using AI responsibly. So it is very important that we've got these tools, and they're very powerful. But I don't want to say the line from Spider-Man, but I'm going to anyway. With great power comes great responsibility. So we're going to look into that in a bit more detail. So data confidentiality, that's hard to say. As I said, so never input personal data, employee names, sensitive case details, or any commercially sensitive information into any of these tools. Like I said, if you're using Microsoft Copilot, yes, it is protected by what's called, they have, you see this little green shield in the top right hand corner. And then it basically says it's got enterprise data protection. That is true, but I would never really put sensitive information into these tools, because you never know. Bias, I've already talked about that, about the images, but it can replicate and amplify existing biases. It's been trained on certain data, so it can produce the stuff that it's been trained on. So especially in recruitment, performance, and pay contexts. So you have to be very, very careful about that, and always review critically. You're the human. You have to make sure that you're reviewing this stuff. You're accountable. You remain accountable for everything that AI helps you to produce, and the output is yours. So you can't blame AI. So if you put something out into the public space, and you can't say, "Oh, AI did that," because it'll, unfortunately, you can't fire an AI person, or it's going to be down to you. You're going to be responsible. Always be transparent about using AI where relevant as well. So you might have seen some news articles or whatever, and people will use AI and then try to obviously get away with saying that they haven't used AI. But sometimes, I don't know if you've seen, there was an article, and at the end of it, because I noticed some of you on your prompts that you ran, you said, "Oh, it's great that it said, would you like to do this? Would you like to do that?" at the end of your prompts. Now, somebody, and they didn't even check this. They put this in the newspaper, and at the end of the article, it had that little section saying, "What would you like me to do next?" And that was actually part of the article within the newspaper. So you can tell that they used AI, and they didn't even check what the output was before they printed it as well, which is crazy. And then that last one, organizational governance. So know your organization's AI guidelines. So you should have an AI usage policy. If you don't, then you need one. Okay, so, and if they don't exist yet, then be part of that conversation to develop them, because it's very important that people know you've got these tools. They know how to use them. They know when to use them and when not to use them. Okay. Any questions at this time? So what not to share with these public AI tools? And so, like, they may store your inputs. So treat them like a public space, not a confidential system. So if you wouldn't put stuff on social media, then don't put it in an AI tool. So don't share employee names or personal details, disciplinary grievance or capability case studies, any medical or occupational health information, any personal information about, ultimately, individual salary or pay information, any commercially sensitive business information, and draft contracts before a legal review. So you have to make sure that you can create a draft, but then always legally review them. Yeah. Safe to use. So generic role in titles, not individual names. So if you're talking about a specific person, then just use the role name, maybe the role title. You can anonymize things, or you can make it a fictional scenario. So obviously you always redact names. Public facing policies and documents. So, those things are safe to use because they're already public. If they're public documents, then it's okay to use them. General questions, frameworks, template creation from scratch. So if you like, I think some people might have already done that this morning. If they want to create something, safe to use for creating templates. And then hypothetical examples for training. So these are just kind of examples that you can use, that you can put in, and then you can use AI, and they're safe to use for that purpose. And I've said this a couple of times here at the bottom. Microsoft Copilot within your tenancy, Microsoft 365 tenancy, does offer stronger data protections, and you can check with your IT team about that. So we're going to do a quick group activity now. Now, if we do quick sort of breakout rooms of, as I said, sort of maybe 4, 5, 6 people, And for 5 minutes, what I'd like you to do in that group is to have a look at these kind of scenarios. Now, Izzy, are we able to share the slide to the breakout rooms as well? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll show you how to do that once they open.
Sure. Thank you. Yeah. So we've got 6 scenarios here with 6 people, and I want you to just have a look through and just check, is this a safe use of AI? And if not, what's the issue? And then when we come back, we'll have a quick sort of like see what is good and what's not. So yeah, so just in your groups for 5 minutes, you'll see, if you've never been into breakout rooms before, you'll see a little pop up that says to join that room.
But
So
that's okay, Craig. They'll send this one sends them automatically. It's fine. I set it up
okay,
so it
cool.
goes automatic.
Right, no problem. All right. So yeah, so if you go into the breakout rooms, have a quick discussion about these 6 scenarios and have a think about which ones are safe use of AI and which one are not.
Amazing. We'll open the rooms up now. Perfect. So I'll just get everybody in.
It could be used, but would need redacting first. Leah, do CVs have names, and what exactly is best candidate? So to be fair, it's a scenario. I'm not sure if they have names on them, but the fact that it says rank best candidates before any human review, that's what's flagging something for me. So let's have a quick look at the answers, shall we? And I think most of you are right. So Ahmed is the only one there that is kind of safe to use. So Maya is using confidential data. Employee names and personal details must never go into public AI tool. Tom, no professional check, so the interview questions need reviewing by a human, really, for bias and legal compliance. Priya, hallucination risk, so the AI may give outdated or inaccurate legal information. Always verify with a qualified HR and legal professional. So Ahmed I think, is the only safe one there. No personal data. It's a general brainstorming task. It's low risk. This is exactly what AI is good for. So Joe, putting personal data in there, employee names and detailed performance information. They're sensitive personal data, not for public tools. And then Leah, so it's using an AI-assisted selection risk. So using AI to rank CVs could introduce bias or unfairly influence hiring decisions before it goes to human review. It needs a human review in clear criteria and careful checks before use. Because if you get the AI to rank stuff first before humans look at it, then maybe the ones at the bottom of the rank pile don't get seen by the humans. Okay. Those are just a few kind of sort of simple scenarios, kind of applying these kind of safe rules here. So right tasks. So this is where we're going to look at the actual what are the tasks that would be useful for you in your role to use AI for, and the best ones to use. The type of jobs that are great for AI are ones that are repeatable, ones that can actually save you time. So think about ones that kind of have the same set of steps each time, that you're running through manual kind of tasks that you do on a regular basis, that you do a lot. And they might be time consuming, but they're pretty much the same nearly every time. You have similar inputs, and then the output is usually roughly about the same, and it just eats up your time. These are the jobs and the tasks that AI is really, really good for. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a little activity, and I'm going to take you through it step by step, but ultimately we're going to identify which tasks appear on this graph here. Now, you don't have to worry about the graph too much. This is just for kind of like to show you where we're going to be able to put it. But ultimately, we want tasks that are high time-saving tasks and low risk. Okay, so the ones that we're going to be identifying to be good for AI are the ones that will appear in the stars quadrant there. Now, you will also, ones that that are high time-saving tasks, but maybe you need a human in the loop. So we can have those ones there. So then those are the kind of the next ones that you could have. Yes, you can use AI to do them, but you will always need that human in the loop. And then you've got lower priority ones where it's kind of like, okay, it's a low risk, but it's also a low sort of time saving. So yeah, you probably could use AI to do them, but they're not that important. So you're not to worry about them too much. But if there's ones that are kind of low time saving tasks and they're high risk, then I'd say don't use AI for them, especially if we're looking at a priority order of which tools, or sorry, which tasks we're going to use AI for. We're going to start with the ones that appear here. And I'm going to take you through a little activity to identify what those tasks are. Okay. So just to start off with, for the next 4 minutes on your own, so I'm going to take you through step by step. We're going to do an individual task, and then once we've identified them, you're going to go into a group and have a quick discussion about them. But for the first few steps, you're just on your own. Okay. So I want you to define tasks. So I want you to write down on a piece of paper or on your computer, write down a list of tasks that you spend your week on. Just anything, all departments, any and all ideas. Just write down a list of tasks that you do. Okay. So let me put a quick 4 minute timer on and just write down a list of tasks. There's our Star Wars music. Um, okay, so that's the first step. So hopefully now you've all got a nice sort of long list of tasks that you do um, on a day-to-day basis or weekly or monthly or anything like that. Now, the next part is to first then classify those tasks. We're going to do a couple of steps in this. So this one is to identify the high time-saving tasks. Okay, so if AI was to do these for you, how much time would you save? If you were to use AI to do this, it would save you a lot of time. Yeah, if these ones are going to save you a lot of time, I want you to circle them. Okay, so the next 3 minutes, just quickly go through that list and circle the ones that would save you a lot of time if you used AI to do them. Okay. Now we've got another step, which is where we're going to identify tasks where errors are non-critical and they're fixable. So they're kind of low risk. Yeah. So ones where if something went wrong with the task, it's not like a massive issue, and we can quite quickly fix it. And that's it. These are the low risk tasks. Yeah. So, and if you think they're low risk, then um, put a tick next to them.
Sorry, Craig, can I just ask, do you mean the ones that we've circled?
No, so
Out
any
of it?
task out of all of the tasks, just go through that list again. So you'll have a long list. Some of them will have circles on them, some of them won't. And then just any of those tasks, then just put ticks next to them if they're low risk. So they've got, if something, like I said, if something went wrong or if there was an error there, then you could quickly fix it, and then it'll be non-critical. Yeah, so like a low risk task. Okay. Maybe I should update the noise that it makes on this time it finishes. Right. So then here's the final step. Now here's to categorize everything together. Now what I'd like to do is actually kind of you can quickly sort of classify these, but then we can put you into a group as well. Let me just check. There we go. Yeah. So yeah. So before we go into a group, I want you to do this yourself. It probably should have said individual on there. But so basically, what I want you to do is look at what you've done. So if your task has a circle, so if you've been circled and it's a tick, then that task is the star. That's the one that you is a good candidate for AI. Yeah. So if we go to our image here, those are the ones that are going to be high time saving ones and low risk, your star tasks. If a task is circled with no tick, then that's going to be your human in the loop. Okay, so this is going to be your high risk task, but also a high time saving. So that is going to be your human in the loop task. If your task is just got a tick, then that means it is a lower priority. Yeah, so that means that it's a low risk task and it's also a low time saving task. And then if it's got no circle and no tick, then let's let's not put that into AI. It's definitely lower priority of something that we want to put into AI. Not low priority on here in this example, but what I'm saying is that we shouldn't put that into AI. Okay, does that make sense? So if circled and tick, that is your star item. So that is your star. If it's just a circle, that's a human in the loop. If it's not circled and you've just got a tick, then that's your lower priority. And not circled and no tick, so it has nothing, then we're not going to touch that one. Okay. So I'm just gonna, I'll let you just finish that off for the next minute or so, and then we'll put you into quick rooms to kind of discuss the outputs of what you've been able to do, what the kind of tasks you do. And I'm going to give you a few questions to kind of have a think about in those rooms as well. So Izzy, if we do maybe same kind of group sizes as before.
No.
Okay. So, as I said, we categorized our tasks. We should know now which ones should be in the stars area, which ones should be humans in the loop, which ones should be lower priority, and which ones we're not going to touch. So, in your groups for the next 6 minutes, I want you to have think about what was your top star task? What's the task that you think is like the most time-saving potential and lowest risk? That's your kind of that's probably your first candidate for that you could put into AI. Is there anything that surprised you? So maybe tasks that you expected to be stars that feel riskier, or vice versa. Are there any do not touch tasks that you want to flag? So maybe a group felt AI should stay well clear of that. Or is there, and what is one thing that you're actually going to try this week? So a specific task or first experiment with an AI tool. So just some kind of pointer questions to have a think about in the tasks you have. It'd be quite interesting if maybe one person has a task that they will use for AI, and then another person has a task, the same task that they won't use for AI. So that'll be an interesting point as well. So yeah, if we could just put everybody into breakout rooms for the next 6 minutes, that would be great.
Awesome. I'll do that now.
And I'll
And also,
okay,
great.
so thanks. Welcome back, everybody. Yeah, I hope you had a nice little discussion in your groups. Now, was anything, and feel free to share. You can either do it in the chat or you can come off mute. What was your top star task that you would be most time saving potential and lowest risk? Yeah, feel free to share.
I use the example of triage. So in Copilot, if you say triage my inbox, it does save time if you've been away for the weekend or been on annual leave for a couple of days, such like that. But it still needs the human touch because it misses a couple of emails. In the past, I've noticed it's missed a few.
Yeah. Okay, thanks for sharing.
Hello.
And Tracy, did you say something?
No, sorry.
All right. Project planning in the chat. We've got process mapping, brainstorming, creating training, email templates. Yeah. Workshop planning and static admin tasks. Yeah. Okay. And maybe did anything surprise you? Did anyone have anything that surprised you? Maybe something that felt you expected maybe to be something, but that may be a bit riskier.
I struggled with this task a little bit, I must say. Sorry, I'm just putting my camera on.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because every one of my tasks, I don't know why my camera's not coming on, sorry.
No worries.
Every one of my tasks, I thought there was a small part I could. The host has asked to start your video. Start my video, sorry.
That's okay. No, I was just giving you a little push just in case it helps. That's okay, Deborah. Don't worry.
No, it won't. Literally, it won't come on. Sorry.
No worries. It's okay.
It has been on while I've been in the breakout room, but anyway, yeah. Each one of my tasks I thought about.
Yeah.
There was an element of it that I probably could use a little bit of AI, but not much. So, for example, if I'm holding a network meeting, I could potentially use it for the notes afterwards. But again, there is a lot of sensitivity, so I wasn't sure. I was thinking about at the moment we're going out to tender for new contracts for interpreting, and I need to score each company, and I've got a big spreadsheet that I need to use. But then I'm thinking that's commercial data, isn't it? So although it's not personal, I'm thinking, oh, should I actually be using that? Should I be popping that into? Because I was dropping all the information into Copilot, and it has populated the spreadsheet for me. But then
Yeah.
I'm thinking, oh, actually, I probably shouldn't have done that.
Well, so if commercial data, because if you are using Copilot and it is protected by the enterprise data protection, then Copilot will already have access to your documents and anything that
Yeah.
has commercial data in them. So that, in my opinion, that's okay.
I'm glad you said that, because it was actually my CEO's PA that told me to do that. So I thought, oh, but then like you said, it's the human side of it. We need to be very careful, don't we?
Yeah.
But yeah, there was not much. I couldn't actually find anything that I thought, apart from maybe new starter induction presentation, I want to update my presentation. So I could put a lot of questions around that into it.
All right, that's great. Thank you, Deborah. Thanks for sharing. So what about any sort of do not touch tasks that you went, actually AI is definitely not going to go near that? I'm sure I can think of a few examples, but yeah, if anyone like to share with the group at all?
So I popped this in the chat, which is, but it's the same thing. I spend so much of my time, and lots of people do spend time redacting documents, and we do it very manually because, as someone else has mentioned in the chat, we don't have the paid add-on. But that's exactly the sort of thing that AI can't do because of the nature of the documents themselves. So that's a little bit frustrating. I need my own AI, I've decided.
Yeah, so I mean, I suppose there is a way around that. Obviously, what you can do, some people you can actually run an AI. Obviously, this is a bit more advanced, but you can run an AI tool locally on a machine that isn't connected to the internet at all. So that is possible. So that is one way around that, right? So, but that's a little bit more technical, and you'd have to kind of have to build not build the whole thing, but you can run these models on a computer that's not connected to the internet. So that could be something that's possible. Thank you. And then finally, so just feel free to share. What's one thing that you're actually going to try this week, like a specific task or a first experiment with one of these tools?
I just tried prioritizing my inbox, as the other guy suggested. It's actually quite effective.
Yeah, great. Yeah, that is very good.
That was a thing.
Yeah.
Who knows?
And these things, because these tools are getting more and more powerful. So if you are using Copilot, there is a tool that is available. It's like on an early access at the moment called Copilot Cowork. Now, this is like an actual kind of agent. Now, only because you said about prioritizing inboxes, what it could do is it can look at your emails, and then it could actually move those emails based on your criteria to folders, so basically it can be your personal email assistant kind of thing. So it actually takes control of stuff within your Outlook. So that's just a quick sort of example of the kind of things that you are able to do. So yeah, I put in a project I've been assigned that seemed overwhelming, and now I have a plan. Excellent, that's good stuff. If you use it on your inbox, would it not see sensitive information? So Copilot by default has access to your Outlook, unless your company's said it can't have access to it. So in that sense, then if it shouldn't be looking at your emails because of sensitive information, then that needs to be part of your AI policy. If something is marked as sensitive, like I think in Outlook, or you can mark a file as sensitive, then Copilot will not be able to read that. Someone's going to apply raise to prompt. Excellent. All right. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you very much. Okay. So if you want to do this kind of, here's a few examples of other ones. But if you could do this activity with your teams at work, so you could use these kinds of examples as references. So these are the kind of things, tasks where they might sit. Stars, ones that you might try first, like writing job adverts, drafting policy summaries in plain English, that kind of thing, drafting team communications. These are examples of where those tasks might fall into human in the loop, and then do not touch, especially individual performance or pay decisions. Never use AI to do stuff like that. Okay. But yeah, you can run this activity with your teams, identify which tasks they could use AI for, which ones they definitely shouldn't be, and so forth. And you could classify those. So we're almost out of time at key takeaways from today. AI tools like ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini, Claude, they're practical, they're accessible. They're both ultimately conversational. So you can talk to them using text or your voice. They're not magic. They're not a threat. A lot of people obviously are, going down the doomsday talk of AI. But at the moment, it's all okay. Think of them as thinking partners and drafting assistants. The RAISE framework, we went through the RAISE framework, role, aim, information, specifics, and end results. It gives you a simple structure to write those prompts to get a useful output that is easy to use. Use AI responsibly. Very, very important. Protect sensitive data. Watch for bias. Maintain your professional judgment. You are the human here. You are accountable for everything. And always follow your organization's guidelines. You must have an AI policy. If you don't, then it needs to be created and followed. We just went through that activity. So not every task suits AI. Start with your star tasks. So start with those high time saving and low risk ones, and then build your confidence from there. And this is a skill that kind of grows. So the more you play with it, the more you'll learn, the more you'll work out what works and what doesn't. Start small. So try things out. Try some of those star tasks out. Experiment, and then reflect on what works and what doesn't, and then grow from there. The more you play with it, the more you'll learn, the more confident you'll get. So where to start this week? So here's 3 practical things, and then sort of to continue from there. So try one of your star tasks with AI. So use the RAISE framework and one of the tools covered today, so ChatGPT or Copilot, and start with one of those low risk, high time saving tasks, draft or a summary or a template, and then notice what works. Just try one of those tasks with AI and share it. In the next month, check your organization's AI policy. Find out what is approved and what's not, and what the guidance says. And if there isn't one, like, maybe you're the person that needs to start the conversation about it, because the employees in your organization need to know what's available to them and what they can and can't use. And then share what you learned. So the stuff that you learned today, the stuff that works, talk to your colleagues about it. The fact that you came to this session means you want to learn about AI. And so the experience that you've learned here is valuable. So obviously HR and OD teams, you have a key role in shaping how responsible AI is used across all of your organizations. Like I said, with great power comes with great responsibility. So thank you very much. Feel free to connect with me. That QR code should take you to my LinkedIn. If you want to get in touch with me on email, I'm craig@trailbright.co.uk. You can check out my videos online. TikTok, just search up Craig Explains AI. I'm on YouTube, Instagram as well. And yeah, I'm around for the next 10 minutes or so. Any questions if anyone has. Thanks very much for coming.
That's great. Thanks so much, Craig. Thanks everyone for joining us. And I'll send the SurveyMonkey out just after. So if you can fill that out, that would be amazing. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.